Hi gang, John again with Rock County Jet Ski, Watcon.com. Welcome to Watercraft Talk. I had a while back, and forgive me, I tried to go back and find out who it was. I thought somebody replied to one of our videos asking about wanting me to compare jet pumps, the difference between a mag pump versus a stock pump. Maybe I got an email, I don't remember, and I'm sorry. I did make a note of it, but I'm sorry. I wanted to mention you by name, and I don't know who you were. So I hope you're a subscriber, and I hope you're watching. And today we're going to talk a little bit about jet pumps. So first off, I want to talk about the term mag. I'm guilty myself. I use that term. That is actually a term from Scat Track. Scat Track used to call their pumps Magnum pumps. When they came out with their aftermarket pumps or a modified pump, they called it a Scat Track Magnum pump. We just started calling them mag pumps for short. And kind of unfortunately, I'm guilty. This particular pump is a Solas pump, and I do call it a Solas mag pump. But it is truly not a mag. That is Scat Track's terminology. Sorry, kind of a tongue twister there. Anyway, everybody kind of does it. It's kind of like Kleenex and anything an aftermarket pump with more vanes and a larger hub is kind of referred to as a mag pump. So today we're going to show a few differences and talk about the differences on these two different pumps. Here we have a stock Yamaha 144 millimeter pump out of a Super Jet. This, I measured this hub, and it is just a little over 60 millimeter, about 61 millimeter. It is 6 vanes here for the stator. An aftermarket pump, such as again a Scat Track, or this one in particular is a Solas, measures here is 75 millimeter and has 12 vanes going around in the stator section instead of just 6. Now, the big difference with that is hookup. Hookup and pump pressure. Pump pressure is critical in our little world. I'll tell a story about efficiency. I don't have a way to measure this, and I'm not stating this as fact, but it is. Years ago, I used to drag race boats. In fact, go back and we've got a video that we posted of us racing back in the 2000s. And we had a thing called slip. If you're familiar at all with boats, there's a formula. You can figure theoretical speed. And that is a formula that you can calculate your RPMs and your pitch of your prop, and you take your gear ratio and you can figure theoretical speed. So just for the sake of this discussion, let's say a 30 pitch boat propeller turning at 7,000 RPMs with a certain gear ratio in a Mercury lower unit goes 100 miles an hour in theory. And then you shoot a radar gun at your boat, or you use GPS, and you should be going 100 miles an hour, but you're not, and you're only going 90. Well, that is slip. And jet pumps are the same thing. We get what's called slip, or in our case, it's kind of cavitation. The more efficient you can make your jet pump, the more power that your engine is getting out the water and pushing you forward. A pump with a bigger hub like this and more vanes is much more efficient. It's going to reduce it reduces cavitation, reducing your slip factor, and greatly increasing load. Especially, you guys didn't know this, if you're riding surf and you're in frothy surf weather or water, and the water's real turbulent, you got a lot of air bubbles, it's a big difference to have hookup. If you're racing, hookup, again, you're in choppy water, it's like a washing machine, it's going up and down, and it's more important to have a pump that creates more pump pressure and is more efficient. Now, even if you're riding flat, clean water, I have noticed that this pump loads harder. I don't care what people say, this thing loads harder. A certain impeller in this pump, you may not be able to pull it in this pump. If you have a 10-18 hooker for a 10-16 hooker in this pump behind your stock 701 Yamaha, and you did nothing but switch the pump, you might not be able to pull that hooker because, again, it loads so much harder and it's more efficient. So now you may need a 915. Maybe, and I'm not saying that every machine is different and every build is different, and don't take that I just said, it's only an example. So, again, just to talk about these, with this one's a larger or a smaller hub. And Chris, if you want to come in and look at this, you can see this is a much larger hub. If you compare the two, we've got more vanes, less vanes. There's more area here for the water to pass through. There's less area here. In theory, it's the same amount of water, and it is creating more pump pressure, which increases efficiency, which is a good thing. Another thing I want to talk about, since we've got a Solas pump in front of us, we offer a service, many of you are aware, Solas pumps here, we have troubles with this bearing area. And the early versions of these, they were actually coming to us out of the box. They were out of round and tapered. We were finding that when you're pressing the bearings in and the drive shaft in, it was throwing a front bearing prematurely, and we found it was because the tolerances were too tight. So we offer a service, and we are still doing it to all pumps. Even though Solas has made a change and they are no longer tapered, they are still too tight a tolerance. I consulted with some engineers and some bearing suppliers. The bearings that we use are a Japanese C3 spec bearing, and we've come up with a tolerance that is acceptable for a C3 bearing in a stainless housing for what's called press. So we are boring these out still. If you purchase a Solas pump from us, I offer that service for free. If you've purchased one elsewhere and want to have it done, please reach out to me at the shop, and I'd be happy to help you with that. You can send your pump in, and we will bore it for you and true it for a fee. So I think that's really kind of it. And just off the top of my head too, the Solas comes tapped already for dual cooling, where your original one is only single cooling. Not that you can't drill and tap this. Another thing, I'm sorry, that I skipped over, and this being a larger hub in the stator, you have to have a larger hub impeller. You cannot run a smaller hub impeller. And I'm gonna just go grab one off the shelf here. And these are not truly, these are just what I have on the, so if you look at this, that matches up fine to that, but if you have a smaller hub, it is not gonna fit on here. You need a larger hub, 75 millimeter hub impeller to go over that and match up against that, such as a large hub scat or a hooker again. Now you can run a large hub impeller on a stock pump, but you cannot run a small hub impeller on the Solas pump. So I hope you find that informative. The differences between the two pumps. If you like what you saw, please be sure to hit the subscribe button. I do appreciate you guys reaching out. I hear from you almost daily. It really helps our channel out though. So please hit the subscribe button, like, tag, share, and follow. And the next time, we'll see you out on the water.